And welcome to this edition of Smoky Mountain Sports. I'm Daniel Sparkman along with Brian Hamilton. It's been a great week. Well, last week was a great week in high school sports in East Tennessee and college. We had some success in that area as well, but it was kind of a rivalry week, Brian. We had a lot of rivalry games, including what will probably be maybe the game of the year this year.
Yeah, and that's none other than the Maryville Alcoa game. That game, it was Maryville went up 7-0. Alcoa went up 14-7, tied it up on a lengthy drive on the first drive of the third quarter, 14-14, and it remained that way. We were wondering, I was talking with some of the other reporters, if we were going to get overtime. And it was a game that moved rather quickly. We were ahead of a lot of the other games going on because a lot of the teams ran the ball a lot, and got a touchdown. Alcoa did late in the fourth with about 2.5 minutes to go, and that put them up 20-14 as the extra point by Bacon Louderbeck was blocked. So Maryville had an opportunity to win the game, and kind of the whole stadium could feel it. They drove down to the 10-yard line. A couple penalties and sacks backed them up, back-to-back sacks. And so they ended up around the 35 or so, threw it deep. And, Jordan Harris, I want to say Elijah Cannon, he had a big sack before that, Elijah Cannon. And then Jordan Harris picks off the fourth down heave and returns it for a touchdown. So when you see the score 27-14, it was much closer than that. Like Maryville had less than 30 seconds left with a chance to win. So don't think that I posted the score, said I figured it would be closer. I'm like, yeah, the score is deceiving. When you get a pick six and 3 seconds are left on the clock, that's what happens, But they were down in Alcoa territory. Matthew Clemmer had converted a 4th and 9 already on that drive to keep their hopes alive. So it was an incredible game. It's the best one I've seen this year, and I've been to some good ones.
I mean, my hat's off to Alcoa, first of all. Their kids deserved it. They deserved to win, and obviously I was disappointed. Would like to have some calls back. We weren't ready to play in the first half. It's my fault. And had some opportunities to get in leads and didn't do it. And that game was in the second half came down to 1 or 2 plays, and we get the ball all the way to 10-yard line, chance to take the lead with about 7-8 minutes to go, and we get a penalty and get back up and can't convert, turn it over, and so it's just tough way to lose right there, man. But I credit Alcoa's kids. They played tough and stayed in it, and they made the plays when they needed to.
It feels great. We thought we was going to beat them last year. It didn't happen, but this year it feels way better.
Yeah, so proud. And once again, just with the character of the seniors, they're just good kids. I said to somebody the other day, we don't have any grade issues out of these seniors. We haven't had any off-the-field issues. We don't have to worry about. We're not checking on teachers. We're worried about the grades. So I think that wins. It's the Inky Johnson that's been going around, but it's talent is enough until you face another talented team, and then your character comes out. You've got to have character to have a chance to suck it up and win a game like this, and it speaks. And just once again for Jordan and for Zach Lunsford, it couldn't be a more fitting end, for this game.
As we take a look at our Week 3 top 10, you see it was Alcoa and Maryville 1 and 2, and so as we introduce our Week 4 top 10, you see our top 2 teams didn't change at all except for their record. It's still Alcoa number 1, Maryville number 2.
It was just everybody knows who Maryville is and what they do. There's a very strong chance that they don't lose another game this year, but I don't know. I mean, people are really both teams have Knoxville West still on the schedule, and they are playing very good this year at 4-0. So, you can't say they're both out of the woods yet, but usually that's what happens. Either Alcoa wins and goes undefeated, or Maryville wins, goes undefeated, and Alcoa wins 3A at 14-1 usually. So we will see. It's a long season. Neither coach nor players should think, well, that was our biggest game of the year, especially Alcoa, where you say, well, it's we beat Maryville, we're just going to win the whole thing. They probably will win 3A, but I know your sights are on going undefeated, and the West is going to rear its ugly head a little bit later in just a few weeks. Actually, that's on a Thursday night at Alcoa. The game at West last year was double overtime, and Alcoa had to win it on 4th down. They almost got their second loss of the season at West last year. So nobody in Alcoa better be overlooking that game thinking we're going 15-0 because both teams got them too. Maryville has them a little bit later in the season, so both of those will be intriguing games. But the teams, they're still the two best right now, and I think the margin's fairly wide. No disrespect to Sevier, who's sitting there as our only other undefeated team.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. Is our only other undefeated team besides Alcoa in the 20 teams that we cover is Sevier County, who remain at number 3 this week, and they are coming off a win against Pigeon Forge.
Yeah, 19-0. I figured that they would. I know that I don't remember what I picked. I think it was. We'll talk about those later.
18.5.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
we got to save those, but yeah,
we're going to talk about that later.
Point win. Hey, y'all need to. We need to start up a Vegas show for pro and college.
I mean, you couldn't have got much closer than that. It was literally 19-0.
But but yeah, just trust me, I don't know any more than most of the other reporters in this area. So it's just something fun we do. No, I'm not going to work for Vegas and MGM or anything. But yeah, obviously, you look at the schedule, you see who Sevier has next. Who would that be?
Oh, sorry, Sevier. They are up against West.
And that's who we just talked about. So
yep.
I'm not going to make any predictions right now, but that is going to be a very, very tough test. But Sevier's just kind of they've survived. 19-0 was the biggest margin of victory. All their other games have been within a touchdown. But hey, a win's a win. We saw some crazy games in college last week, and so when it comes down to it, a W is a W, man. But yeah, I think Sevier's right where they should be, holding up there at number 3. Now, if they beat West, they might have something to say about challenging for the number 2 spot. I really, really strongly believe that. I do.
Yeah. So at number 4, we've had a little bit of a change. You've got Gatlinburg-Pittman up at number 4 now after their win last week over Loudon, and actually it was a bigger win than we were kind of anticipating.
Yeah, they jumped from 7 to 4. Gatlinburg-Pittman just, after the loss to Alcoa, where they had a very strong first half, they really just needed that signature win. They took care of business in their other games, to get to 2-1. But now Loudon is a strong program. They actually were down 21-7, and then took a 28-21 lead into halftime, and ended up winning by 1 score. But Loudon's a tough team, and that was the win they needed. Once they got that win, I knew that if they were to get that win, they would probably shoot up the rankings because it just kind of solidified what everyone. Hey, and they're, it's hard to rank them much further back because even before the Loudon game, they were number 4 in Class 3A. So they're right there. They're not far behind Alcoa, but like I said, everyone, it's like the gulf there between Alcoa and the rest of the people there in 3A as far as what people consider to be their talent level. But yeah, I mean, it would be doing them a disservice to keep them any further back, especially after that Loudon win. So I think that now at this point in the season with their schedule, Gatlinburg's really ready to reel off some wins because they had to just navigate the Alcoa and Loudon wins, and now their schedule kind of seems to open up for them a little bit to where we could see them sitting here in late October, 8-1, 9-1. Hey, Coach Wagner's really got it going there, and he's been great for that program since he took over last year.
Yeah, they're doing good things over there. So coming in at number 5 is Morristown West. They were number 4 last week, but they are coming off a 7-point loss against Greenville.
Yeah, Morristown East, having them at number 5, they only fall one spot. But, hey, that was another one. Everybody was talking about that game because we see the score, and it's 14-7. Morristown West just under 2 minutes into the game because back-to-back kickoff returns for touchdowns. They were scoring quick. But, Morristown West, they could not hold off an undefeated Greenville team. So, but, the way they played, it's kind of like Texas with Alabama last week. Texas is the only team in recent memory after that 2019 loss where they really should have beat Alabama, that a team that lost a game moved from unranked to in the top 25. So, these losses, when you're talking about Maryville losing to Alcoa, you're talking about Morristown West. You're talking about Morristown West, close loss to Greenville. These are teams that, it's so surprising how well you played them that you're not really dropping in the rankings because, these teams aren't chopped liver.
Right, exactly. So at number 6, we've got Jefferson County, and they are coming off a win against Knoxville Halls, another 7-point victory.
Yeah, I know they're kind of sliding back right now. This is the lowest that Jeff County has been ranked this year since, that early kind of upset loss to Sevier County. Now, that obviously doesn't look like an upset. We thought it was at the time, number 3 and 5, but now Sevier County is still 4-0. So, Jefferson County is kind of the strength of schedule right now. Sevier is really the only really strong team that they played. But, Cocke got a big win last week. So we'll see. But they're taking care of business. I mean, they've won 3 straight games. But it's not what they're doing wrong. It's what some of the other teams are doing with some of their quality wins and even quality losses that has kind of pushed Jefferson back. But I think they're going to have every opportunity, the way the schedule sets up, to start moving up in our rankings here soon because they're going to have some tougher competition coming up shortly.
And at number 7, we've got Lakeway Christian. They, of course, dropped a spot as well, but they are coming off a pretty substantial loss to Silverdale Academy. They lost by 28 points on Friday night.
Yeah, but number 7 is what I think you and I were texting the other night. This is where it got a little hairy because everybody started losing. Right. Once we got past number 6 in Jeff County, this seems to be kind of where the teams are separating themselves into the top 6, where we've got a lot of one-loss teams or a couple undefeated teams. Now we're getting down to teams that have lost either twice or, in Carter's case, even 3 times. And, it's just with them being 3-1, they still, the body of work with what they have done earlier in the season, we were able to forgive them a little bit for that, 28-point loss. So,
yeah, I mean, they had a great start to the season at 3-0. So, you would think they would drop a game at some point, but they still have a lot of promise in the rest of the season.
I really asked one of the reporters about Silverdale Academy, and they're like Jekyll and Hyde. I said that last week. You never know which one you're going to get because I don't know a lot about this program, Silverdale, having lived here just a year, but they're out of Chattanooga, and that's probably why I don't know a whole lot about them. They're a private school, But it looks like, I don't know who showed up, Jekyll or Hyde.
Well, for Lakeway, it might have been Dr. Jekyll. So see, or Mr. Hyde. I don't remember which is which nowadays.
Yeah.
So never mind. Forget that. Let's move on. Number 8, Northview Academy. They are now 2-2 on the season, and explain why we've now put them up in the
Northview is making its first showing in the top 10, coming in at number 8. Well, enough of these teams drop games to bad teams that a 70-35 aerial attack. Last year Northview had trouble scoring. They really did. So it looks like what they're doing with the new coach in place, they're really starting to. And this isn't their first high scoring game of the year. Their first win. Can't remember who they were playing. It was a couple weeks ago, before Alcoa, obviously. That was an aerial assault from another angle, and they really seem to be playing better offensively this year. So that was enough to get them to number 8 with that 70-35 win over Claiborne.
Yeah, that was a really good showing for Northview. Now, also joining this week's top 10 is Heritage, also at 2-2. They are coming off another win.
Heritage, from the ranks of the winless, had not won a game since 2020. They've rolled off 2 straight. They've got Coach Osevit, who used to coach at Tennessee. He was an assistant at Tennessee, and he is now. A lot of people are going to start recognizing that name, and there's going to be stories written on him about how he's helped to turn that program around. So now we're sitting here we're actually talking about, which last year they were 0-4 at this point, but now this year we are actually talking about Heritage possibly sneaking in there in the playoffs. They have every opportunity to do so, and that's just them being in the rankings and number 8 is just a testament to how much they've improved as a program since Osevit took over.
Yeah, and there's a lot of season left to play, so there's still some room to improve there. Look at their schedule.
There's some more opportunities for wins there too. That 4 seed at least is definitely in the cards are there if they play them right. They can be in the playoffs after going 0-10.
All right. Well, coming in at number 10, we've talked about this team off and on all season long about whether they should be in the top 10. Well, now they have finally notched their first victory over Walker Valley. It's Carter. We finally brought them into the top 10.
This was close. If we look at, if we had a section there for also receiving votes, like Cosby would have been there last week. This week, Cocke County had a big win over Seymour, and they were just right there on the cusp. But a 1-3 Carter team, really their season was about to go down the toilet if they lost this game. So they come in, a game that they got blown out last year, and they defeat Walker Valley, a 5A school from Cleveland, Tennessee, and 14-3. I mean, they did not allow a touchdown. So, that really helps set them off. Maybe Carter can get back in track. They're obviously, with just that loss to Gibbs, they've got everything in front of them still, and they've got a big game against a very bad Scott team this week. So you can see that turn into 2-3. Then Carter gets back on the track to maybe even they have a tough schedule though. It's going to be difficult to manage from here on, but Carter, they have to win the games that are winnable. And, that just didn't happen for them early in the season. With the Webb game, it went south in the second half, and then they had opportunity after opportunity to win that Sevier game. So Carter could easily be, 3-1 or so right now, but they're, that turned around backwards. They're 1-3. So we'll just see what they do. But they did sneak in, but it was very close.
Very close. All right. Well, now it's time to preview our Week 5 games. Can you believe that this is Week 5 already?
I cannot. We've
So
only got
we're going
11
to.
weeks.
I know
So
we're halfway
this is
through
wild.
basically.
I didn't realize it was
Yeah.
going to go this fast once it started.
Yeah. I know. It's been a good time though.
And once again, we
All
have
right.
no
So
Thursday night games this week. So, yeah, that's the
yeah.
that's the
So
bummer. I
we're
love the
gonna.
Thursday night games.
I know you do. So let's talk about Maryville is hosting Bearden. Maryville's coming off that defeat against Alcoa, looking to bounce back on Friday night.
Yeah, this is a much improved Bearden team. Now, a year ago, this was like I think Maryville beat them 42-6. Um, so they're right now. Bearden's only loss was a 27-7 setback against West in the home opener. So Bearden's reeled off 3 in a row, and that's that's going to be a good game. It really is, and it's not. Maryville's not getting a cupcake after that Alcoa game, which that game is so intense, so physical that it's that game where in college they'll say don't let one loss become two, to where you have that hangover. Now Alcoa, they obviously get Pigeon Forge, so Pigeon Forge has got another thing coming at 1-3. So then you get done with Sevier, and now it's Alcoa.
Okay, so our second game, we're going to talk about Granger at Elizabethton. And Granger, they actually fell out of the top 10 this week after their loss last week.
Yeah, they had a tough loss to Chucky Doak. It was close early, but ended up getting throttled a little bit in the second half. See, what was the score on that? 56-30. They were down close to halftime, 28-24. They only scored one more touchdown, and then Chucky Doak really turned it on, especially in the second half. Not to be confused with Chicken Doak.
Oh my gosh, your tweet.
Yeah, all of you, if anyone from Chucky Doak is listening, I was Friday night after the game. I was tweeting scores, and I had these. I got to get them up in Jeff City. It's chicken jerky. I'd never had chicken jerky before, and it's good. It just tastes like overcooked chicken, but it's good. And so Daniel and I were talking. I was like, I need this chicken jerky to help me get my mind right for our top 10, how I'm going to rank them. And I was still tweeting a few scores, and yeah, Chicken Doak came out, and we didn't see it till the next morning, right?
Right. Yeah. Well, that's Chicken Doak's first victory over Granger.
Yeah. So first victory ever.
Yeah. First ever game, first
I had
victory.
to fix
Chicken
that
Doak.
tweet the next morning and repost it.
Oh man! If we were all able to correct mistakes that we made,
But Twitter
we'd be better
won't let
off,
you
but...
like Facebook. You have to delete the whole
No.
thing.
I know. I hate it. All right, next game we're going to talk about Morristown West. They're taking on Daniel Boone, or they're traveling to Daniel Boone.
Morristown West. I mean, that one, that's going to be a tough one. I mean, you could easily see them lose their second game, but Daniel Boone is 4-0, and they're coming off a 7-0 win over Elizabethton. Elizabethton, we just talked about Granger, and they are 0-3, and this is shocking because Elizabethton had won back-to-back state championships and was in the state championship game last year. But the schedule is, if you just look at it, they lost to Science Hill, very good 6A team in the opener, 17-7, and, Elizabethton's 4A. They're in the same district region as Greenville. Lost to Greenville 21-0, and then lost to Daniel Boone 7-0. So Greenville has not scored but one touchdown. But these are very good teams. But just the fact that Daniel Boone came off of a win over Elizabethton says a lot, and that's going to be a really tough game for Morristown West on the road.
Another team on the road this week, Heritage. They're going to Knox Central, and they're coming off a win. Heritage is coming off a win this past Friday night against William Blount, 18-point victory there.
Yeah, and William Blount is going south in a hurry right now. They're just they're 0-4, and they seem to be in the same position that their their cross county foe was in last year. Now that was the battle for the bell in Maryville, that Heritage William Blount game, and both teams have been down recently, obviously. But right now, Heritage is on a high, and they are going to be battling Knox Central, who is 1-3. They've not started well. Central comes off a 37-34 loss to Gibbs, and this is a really good opportunity for Heritage to try and get over 500 after starting 0-2.
Sorry, I was swallowing. So the next game we're going to talk about, we've mentioned West, but they're coming to Sevier County, and so that's going to be a tough matchup for Sevier County.
We've got a battle of unbeatens in Sevier County. West is coming off a 47-12 win over Fulton, and this one is going to be very tough for Sevier. We'll talk about that a little more in the predictions, but I really think that this could be where you see Sevier's unbeaten season end.
And on to our game of the week, Morristown East, who's coming off a loss to Campbell County by 1 point, a tough loss there. And they are taking on Jefferson County, who is coming off a 7-point win against Knoxville Halls on Friday night.
Morristown East, they really had a good shot to get back in our rankings last week, but many opportunities to win that Campbell County game, came up short just by 1 point. You can't lose by any less. So, this is going to be a tough game for them because Jefferson County, they're a high-flying offense. But it's been a minute since they faced a team with as much talent as Morristown East has. So Morristown East is also trying to get off the snide and get back into the win column after having that big win against Halls here recently. They've had a couple really hard losses, I would say. So, this will be a good one because it's two rivals. They're, heated rivals. They are right there in neighboring counties, and really you just go a little ways down Andrew Johnson Highway from Morristown East to get to the high school there in Dandridge. So this should be an interesting game, and both teams are probably going to leave it all on the field as well.
Now let's do our college preview, covering the four teams that we are covering in our coverage area. 3 of them came out on top, and one with a hard-fought loss over the weekend. So we'll start with Tennessee. Their upcoming game is versus Akron, and they're coming off a good win against Pitt.
Tennessee should go to 3-0 this week rather easily. Now, that overtime win against Pitt was very, very hard fought. They turned the ball over, allowing Pitt to send the game to overtime. But Hendon Hooker came through again. And, this is a game Tennessee lost last year. I was there, and it kind of derailed the beginning of their season a little bit. They went on and lost to Florida. Now we will have to see if following the Akron game, if that win can kind of propel them to get Florida at home. Now, Tennessee, this is a team that's only beat Florida one time since 2004, and when Tim Tebow got there. And, it was 2016 was the last time. And Tennessee fans, they hate Florida. And there was, I think they would trade a win in that game for any all-season to finally be able to get the Gators after they have been on top of them for so long. And even when you go back to the Peyton Manning era, they couldn't beat them. So, anyway, we got to worry about Akron first before we worry about Florida. But don't think that game is not in the backs of people's minds now, because they should easily cruise against Akron on Saturday night.
Up next, Maryville College versus Shenandoah University. Maryville College, they're coming off a 10-point loss at center last week.
I like the band Shenandoah.
Yeah, right. I know.
So, to be honest with you, I don't know where Shenandoah College is, but this is one where Maryville College could be in trouble. They're coming off a 45-0 win over North Carolina Wesleyan. This game is going to be on Saturday at 1 p.m. It will be at home in Maryville, but Maryville's 0-2, but they've had two hard-fought losses. They went up to Danville, Kentucky, had to play on the high school's field, and came away with a 20-10 loss. But we'll see if they can't get in the win column for the first time this year. Very young team, and hopefully they'll be able to get a win at home for their home crowd.
Next up, Carson Newman versus Limestone. Carson Newman coming off a 21-point victory against Franklin Pierce. 21, kind of a interesting number for that game.
Yeah, that was actually Franklin Pierce's 21st straight loss. So obviously Carson Newman didn't want to be the team that surrendered that first win in 21 games to that team. So they did get off to a slow start. Field goal by Franklin Pierce made the game 3-0. Then, it was 6-3. And then they eventually got it to 13-6 lead at the half. So when they came out in the second half, Carson Newman, they looked a lot better. You could tell that the coaching staff made adjustments and did something. Said something at halftime to really fire their team up and motivate them. We're going to talk here. We'll send it over to Coach Clowney. He's going to tell us about what he did to motivate his team at halftime and how they were able to come out in the second half and put that game away 27-6.
Watching us play a little the first time was frustrating. And so the thing I did was I was sitting there and I'm like, man, this is the first game at home. Like, we got good kids, and I really want to lose my cool a little bit. And so, but I didn't. And I asked them a question. I said, all right, I'm gonna settle down. I'm gonna ask y'all a question. What do you think about the first half? And they started talking, and they weren't pleased with where we were the first half. They felt like we were a better football team than what we played the first half. And, it's a testament to them being able to identify that and then come back and do something about it.
And our last college preview is Tusculum taking on Wingate this coming weekend. Tusculum, they won by 2 points over Chowan this previous week.
Yeah, that was a very tough game, and Tusculum was lucky to escape that one without taking an L. But this week, with the Wingate coming in, we're going to have two undefeated teams at 2-0. Wingate's coming off a 21-7 win over Shaw in week 1. And then last week they beat Fayetteville State 21-3. So this should be a very tough game on Saturday. And, Tusculum may not escape this one undefeated still. But, we'll see. And everything's kind of leading up to that October matchup with Carson Newman, their rival. So I'm really looking forward to that one. But hopefully these teams will keep building momentum and steam as they go in to that matchup. And it will be at Tusculum this year.
Mm-hmm. Well, our game of the week last week was Alcoa at Maryville. So our Friday night bites was also Maryville related. You went to the Hop 50s drive-in, and let me tell you, some of that food and that milkshake looked pretty good.
Oh, yeah. The milkshakes are all fresh and done from scratch. Basically, you think that they're just, if you go to, any of the fast food restaurants and stuff, they'll just dump strawberry. I had a strawberry shake. You think they'll just put strawberry ice cream in there with the milkshake mix and make it? No, everything almost except for the chocolate shakes and whatnot is based off vanilla ice cream. They actually put real strawberries with gelatin stuff in that, mixed it in. So I definitely recommend that strawberry shake. And I actually had the Cajun burger, and it was very good. I had just a burger with Cajun seasoning. I definitely
those burgers look
I
good.
definitely recommend the Hop if you guys are ever down in Maryville.
And Friday Night Bites, you can find that on our website, SmokyMountainSports.com, SmokyMTNSports.com. Each week we post one on there, and we now have a page that has all of our podcasts and all of our previous Friday Night Bites. Well, Brian, guess what time it is? It's time for the Weekly Advantage, where you get to tell us who you think is going to have the advantage. So we're going to start with Maryville versus Bearden.
Maryville versus Bearden. You know, Bearden coming off 3 straight wins. Very good team, but I think this is going to be – not many people get Maryville off a loss in the regular season because they don't lose a lot of games. They're a perennial 10-0 team, usually unless they lose to Alcoa, which they just did. So I don't think anybody wants Maryville after Coach Derek Hunt gets a hold of his players in practice this week. I'm going to take Maryville by 21 to win that game. It is at home, so they will recover at home this week.
All right. Now, Granger at Elizabethton. How are you feeling on that one?
Well, I think Granger is a little overmatched in this one, even though Elizabethton is 0-3, like I said. Lost to Science Hill. I can't tell you their record off the top of my head, but Greenville and Daniel Boone are both undefeated, and those were 21-0 and 7-0 losses, respectively. I think Elizabethton's going to roll. I really do. I think that they will send Granger to 2-3. I think this will be a 27.5. I will say Granger plus 27.5. So they're gonna have a tough time with Elizabeth, and especially with some of the teams they've kind of struggled with, putting away Cumberland Gap and some of those schools. This is going to be the real deal when Greenville, when Elizabethton comes to town, and they're going to be hungry for a win after they usually never start like this. So 0-3, I couldn't tell you because we don't cover them, but I couldn't tell you the last time Elizabethton's had an 0-3 start. It's not been recently because 2 straight years in 19 and 20 they went 15-0.
Man. Well, you mentioned Daniel Boone a minute ago. They are hosting Morristown West this Friday.
Yep, Morristown West. You know, a couple weeks ago they slayed the Dragon and Davy Crockett. Well, now Daniel's here. You know, he shows up at your door. Now you got to take down both Davy Crockett and Daniel Boone. So this one is not going to be a cupcake either because they're both 4-0. But, I do like Morristown West to rebound. So they're at Daniel Boone. It's on the road. I'm going to give Morristown West 2.5. I think they'll win by 2.5. But I would not be surprised if they're not able to come out on top. But, this team's beat Elizabethton, so we'll figure it out.
Yep, we sure will Friday night. So now Heritage at Knox Central.
Heritage at Knox Central. Heritage, they're the feel-good story. Last 2 weeks ago, they were able to get that win over Cocke County, which I didn't think they would do it. Cocke County looked improved when I saw them play. And, then William Blount, I kind of figured they would get that win and win the Battle of the Bell. But Knox Central, even though they're 1-3, this is going to be – it's on the road at Knox. So I like Knox Central by 10.5. I think they will at least get a 10-point win over Heritage.
Okay. Now, Sevier County, they are hosting West this week.
Yeah, this one is another one where, I really want to pick the team that's in our coverage area, but I mean, West is just powerful. They beat Fulton 47-12. And, if we saw Sevier and Fulton play, it'd be another one of those almost 7 to 14 point games. So this is a team that's got a lot of firepower. Their only losses in the regular season a year ago were to Alcoa and Maryville. Then they ran into that Powell buzzsaw in the playoffs. But I think West will win by, I'm going to say, 16.5. I do think this game will be a little closer than some experts might think.
And now finally, it's our game of the week, Morristown East versus Jefferson County.
Yeah, I think Jefferson County, like I said earlier, they're finally going to be getting into some of the meat of their schedule. They're going to start getting into their region games. This is a region game, and I expect them to win that game. No offense to Morristown East, but I just like what Jeff County does. They had a tough game last week, though, so they're going to have to 28-21 against Halls. That was not a good showing. So I think this is going to be closer than a lot expect. I'm going to take Jeff County by 3. I think they'll win the game by a field goal.
All right. And now let's get some of the, in our final thoughts, get some of the other games that are happening in the week ahead.
My handy notebook here. We've got South Dole at Anderson County. Now, that was a very tight game last year. It actually ended South Dole's undefeated season. This year, Anderson County's stronger at 4-0. South Dole's a little bit down. So I'm expecting a big win for Anderson County. You've got Scott at Carter. Like we talked a little bit about that earlier when we were doing the rundown. I think that this is a good opportunity for Carter to get to 2-3. Pigeon Forge at Alcoa. That's a game that the regular season matchup was not played a year ago due to COVID. Alcoa goes in and gets a 50-0 win and 52-0 win in the third round of the playoffs. Northview at Austin East, good opportunity for Northview to move up and stay in the top 10. I can't guarantee they'll move up because Austin East is 1-3. They beat Scott 24-6 for their first win last week, if that tells you anything about the team Carter's playing. Gatlinburg at Union County. Union County not very good. They got their first win against Cumberland Gap last week to move to 1-3. This should be over quickly with Gatlinburg Pittman in control. Seymour at Sullivan East. Both teams are 2-2. Sullivan East coming off a 50-26 win over Johnson County. If Seymour loses this game, they're in trouble. They are in trouble and may not make the playoffs. So Seymour's got to come out on top. It's going to be on the road, though. Science Hill at William Blount. Mark it down. Science Hill win that one. Knox Halls at Cocke County. Knox Halls is 0-4. Cocke County, a good opportunity for them to build on that 16-13 win at Seymour last week. And hopefully, if Cocke County does this, they may be able to make their first appearance in our top 10. Cosby's got a bye, so Cosby won't lose this week. Hey, they had a hard-fought game, but the Red Boiling Springs did not boil over. But I hated that. I really was rooting for Cosby to pull off that win. I know it was a heartbreaker because they had the lead in the fourth. And they came back and get a touchdown, win 28-27. So, no, Cosby won't win this week either because they're on a roll this year, at 2-2, after almost going winless a year ago. Friendship Christian at TKA, one of TKA's 8 home games, and they're not winning a lot of those home games. Friendship Christian was defeated by TKA a year ago. TKA at 1-3. I think this is going to be a revenge game for Friendship as they're undefeated right now. Lakeway Christian at Gordonsville. This has potential to be a good game, but I expect Lakeway to probably come out on top in that one. And then lastly, we're done. Cosby has a bye. Cosby has a bye. They're the only team with a bye this week. So if we get more teams start having byes next week, when I think they do, usually it starts about mid-September. So we should be getting into some of our byes. So hopefully we can keep our head above water on our coverage. We have less teams play.
Yeah. It'd be nice because it's a busy week this week.
It's the busiest we've had this year.
And as we go through the week, if you guys out there have any updates to scores or finals that you want to send us, you can text us at 865-268-9088. That's 865-268-9088. Also, if you want to join the team, you can join us through patreon.com/SmokyMTN Sports, patreon.com/SmokyMTN Sports. Just last night, I uploaded a lot of videos that you can only get access to through Patreon. Brian, that's going to do it for our episode 5 of Smoky Mountain Sports.
It's been a pleasure, Daniel, and we will see you next week.